André, great to see each other again
Again.
and for this event on adaptive leadership.
Yes.
Thrilled to speak about this topic. This is a great one that we have been speaking about at GRI for quite some time.
Yeah.
There is so much in common between those two models. They complement each other so well. So glad we're in this space today. Maybe we can start with you have had tremendous experience in organizations and leadership,
Yep.
maybe with some examples that highlight how adaptive leadership work and how GI works with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Yes. I have a recent experience. It was very profound and very satisfying experience where uh, I was conducting as a manager, as a director, in my role to conduct a big transformation in the company, in one company. And within this company, people were used to work in a way, and we had to prepare this company to make a partnership with other companies. So it's a typical company looking at the local market, the way they were doing before for the long time, using their expertise and doing what they knew what to do, and they were happy. But the world is changing very fast. It's changing faster every time. So one of the tools that I inserted in this organization was using GRI. And a key point it was to people to understand each other. So as much they understand each other, the conversations became more nicer. So this process, you think, well, if you express that in one phrase, this can be so that's easy, right? So it's not. It's questioning the way that you did for a long time before, understanding yourself first, and then understanding your people and understanding how you're going to get the results that you have to get. So this process is a lot about adapting to the situation that you are in. It's not using the old tools that you have, but using the new ones that you have available for you, really to address the needs and be more competitive in the market and bringing more results. That's the end of it. So a leader, of course, is always searching for results with his or her team, uh, doing the best they can to make this happen.
so before we go there, Andre, maybe some points to emphasize here with the adaptive leadership framework is the adaptive challenges, some that you highlight, which are changes where there's no technical solution. These are changes where there is unknown solutions that involve people most of the time, the organization, the system. And so the starting point for adaptive leadership, something also we evidence with GI, is the adaptive challenge, isn't it? I mean, this is something also you have experienced in this situation. The challenge is of a different nature. It's not a technical challenge. And what we evidence is most of the time, leadership changes are not technical changes. They are adaptive changes. They have a different texture. They have a different challenge built into them.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's related both from the technical point of the problems that you're facing, but is more related to people. So you have to count on people, their creativity, they're willing to make different ways. And this comes to conversation. And to do it better, you have to understand the basic behaviors that we have, understand each other the best way we can understand ourselves. So I can expect something from you that you play very well, and I don't throw over you as a leader something that you're not comfortable doing that. You can adapt yourself and
Yeah,
do
and
it, but necessarily not the best of you.
yeah, in this situation, you were the leader, okay? And you were the leader in a position of leadership,
Yep.
which is something also we evidence, which is you can be a leader and just manage, not lead. These are two different
Yeah.
aspects of being a leader. Being a leader And expressing leadership means making use of your authority and being authorized by your team
Yeah.
by building trust and being authorized by your CEO or your board when
The
you're the
system.
CEO of expressing leadership, which is a different thing than just being a leader. You
Yeah.
can be a leader and manage, but you can be a leader also and expressing leadership, which is a different challenge at taking on those adaptive challenges.
Yeah, you're talking about tools. Authority is a tool. So I have the authority to decide about that. So that's the tool I have. I'm not leading using or not using this tool. I'll be leading understanding the situation we are facing and understanding how to get the better result of it. That's the game. And it's not like a picture, a point in time. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a film, it's a journey, and you have continuously with the people to work for the solution. And why we are doing that? Because we are facing not just the typical challenges that normally we face. For example, normally we don't talk about demography. Demography shows that, for example, in Americas and Europe, the population won't grow like forever. And of course, will reduce the growth. Actually, in the cities, this growth is declining sometimes. So, if you have a business that is related to demand of people, and
Mm-hmm.
actually, in the end, most of us are, so you have to understand what is going to happen in the future. You have to understand the market will be for the many those traditional products will be lower, so competition will increase, and everybody should be prepared themselves to understand the situation. And here we go again, adapt to the new situation. So uh, actually, the organizations need to find the leaders and train those leaders, and everybody get the awareness to adapt themselves to make the things happen. And adapting is not just an easy thing to be done. We have to learn, including ourselves all the time. And that's the learning process that we have to have in our mind most of the time to get the best results. Because in the end, is that
Yeah.
result oriented.
And that's a big point of adaptive leadership, which is leadership is an experience. Leadership is a journey.
It is.
And as you just pointed, this is about not just looking at the disruptions and the adaptive change, but also looking at the future to make sure we set up our organizations to be ready to face those changes, those big changes, adaptive changes that are going to come. Eh? So not just looking at the past and the disruption of the past, but also looking at the future and setting the organization ready for facing the potential other disruption happening that we can anticipate will happen in the future.
If I might add one word to what you said, we are humans. And there is no one single leader. We are completely different between ourselves. And the people we are dealing, we are different among ourselves. So that's the beauty of it. The organizations are built with people that are different among organizations. You can have one business, for example, electric utility, for example. If you look at the processes, they are almost all the same, almost the
Hmm. Hmm.
system, the regulations, all in place are the same. But if you go to one
Hmm.
company and go to another one, completely different. The way to relate to the market, the way to implement the solutions, the way to relate themselves. And that is also the part of the adaptation that we have to make uh, each time to understand the context that you are in is not just myself and the team. I have to relate with other people. We have processes happening. And with that, I need to find out the best way to get the results. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I will have
Hmm.
problems in the future.
Yeah, and that's bringing the focus more on the system, bringing the focus more on the team or the organization,
Yeah,
how the department or the organization are working, and connect how the organization connects with the whole bigger system,
yeah,
which is part of what we're doing at GI, elevating the discussion to that level, and this is also what adaptive leadership is doing. So this is the leader in context, and as you in context of the system. And that just you pointed about, this is not a question of leadership style. We see an evidence also with GI, very different style being extremely successful and with all shapes of profile. Our behavior factor model evidence,
Yeah.
very different styles were extremely successful, not because they are a transformational leader per se on themselves, or any other type of leadership style, but because they are capable to involve the organization, to involve their team, proximal team most of the time, into these adaptive changes where they are orchestrating what's happening at their team level and also at the organizational level. So we're speaking about the adaptation of the organization more than only the leader adapting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Um,
So and the game, although the process can be the same, let's be clear here, but how we manage all the situation to get a result, this is the main difference. And all the relations, because
mhm,
people don't stay, you have changes in people inside the organization. And yourself, you can enter in a new organization, you have to learn a lot, you have to have the capacity to learn. And leaders are the ones who accepted the role to be leaders. They were not thrown there. They say, "Do you want to be the manager of this area?" Yes, I accept. Thank you very much. We are happy with that. So the role of the real leadership, and being, as you said, being a manager is completely different to lead. Lead is really
mhm.
to empower your people to make the results happening. So
Yeah, and there's more courage involved into leadership than, let's say, just managing.
yeah,
There's more persuasion. There's more about leading the way to something which is unknown than what management is about. So we have this fine distinction between management and leadership, where you are authorized differently by your constituents to act in a different capacity, than just managing.
yeah,
So there are some very interesting discussion that can be made at looking at what the system is doing versus just the leader into that system. There are some systems which have more adaptive challenges and requires the leader to act out some leadership, act more than just managing, the actual stuff, but this is leading it to a better stage. Again, fine distinctions here that we can make between these different models that we have been doing with GI over the years, but
yeah,
this adaptive leadership framework helps to bring things in perspective by having first a look at the system
yeah.
rather than just the individual, the leader.
We are talking inside organization. This is what we've been talking here, right? But if you think one
Hmm.
organization, and I had this experience recently. If you look an organization, look, we've been doing this job. Let's do it differently. I want to attract an investor and do it different. We were designing a business
Hmm.
plan for this company. It was in Amazon, and I entered in this project,
Hmm.
and the discussion came from being the best technical people to do the job, to make the production, to be
Hmm.
uh, in a circular economy, to have less waste as possible, being really the
Hmm.
traditional way to do business. And actually, the opportunity for this company actually is to have a role in the ecosystem, because we are talking about Amazon. There are a lot of people that need support there. There are a lot of issues about
Hmm.
environment. So there's no way not to do it. They have to be connected to all what is happening, and as a
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
powerful economic company, help the system work better. You see that? So they are
Hmm.
not alone in the system. This is not my
Hmm.
business plan. This is an ecosystem business plan with
Yep. Hmm.
activities that's going on, changes. So we
Hmm.
start, instead of talking about technical issues that you mentioned before,
Hmm.
we brought community issues. So we are not aware how to attract a
Hmm.
community. But then again, you work, you start to talk to people, you bring new ones, and you
Hmm.
learn how to do it. And you put that inside the business. So the product is
Hmm.
not the final product itself. It's the final product doing the rest. And actually, this is what the market is demanding. The clients are
Hmm.
demanding. There are clients that want companies responsible, companies not affecting the environment, respecting the employees, and doing more for the employees as possible. And employees are becoming as more strategic as possible. So this is where, so if you move the strategy, think about that. So you have an organization, one example, you have an organization which is very, very controlled, very, uh, they're doing their processes very well, right? They're following all the protocols, do another direction, okay? But those people here were used to doing everything, but not necessarily on the right path. And strategic, with strategic decision, we have to move to do this type of work in this type of way,
Hmm.
this culture of doing a compliance way of doing the job. And suddenly you bring the issue, no, we have to innovate. Well, if you have to innovate, you have to accept mistakes, because innovation is not about certainty. Innovation is about learning. And with that, you have to change the
Hmm.
profile of the organization. And here comes a very important tool that GRI brings to us, is how you redefine the roles of the areas of the people that are
Hmm.
functioning. And the best part of it is not to define it, is to talk to people to understand the changes that we have to make together. Wow. When you do that,
Hmm.
you accelerate the transitional transformation process, whatever name, change management, whatever you want to call it. You bring people on the boat because they understand. Now I understand what I have to do. I'll do it. I'm committed to
Hmm.
that. Let's do it. So this type of change is actually what many organizations need today. And that's the key point.
Yeah, I think you bring the through this example an important point, which is you cannot have a too narrow focus when you're a leader on just yourself and what you have to do, which is a lot that many research have been doing, what it is to be a transformational leader. And so the focus here is on the system, on
Yeah.
the teams, on the job, what the jobs are requiring from people. And so this is an important aspect to bring in perspective to the leader.
Yep.
What's the system today, the ecosystem, beyond the organization, and another aspect, and we'll have to to close also this discussion very quickly,
Yep.
uh, the which is differentiating from the analysis and the action. Okay? Pretty much like a medical doctor is doing. You are diagnosing the system. You are diagnosing, which means collecting data and analyzing the data, which is not an easy thing before executing and deploying.
Yeah.
And so by differentiating those two aspects, it helps us so to find more effective solutions than just rushing into thinking and some judgments and bringing some solutions without involving the team and thinking system and thinking how people are going to face those changes with a leader. So these are very important also aspects in the deployment. Something we put very much in perspective during our GI seminar by equipping leaders to be able to just do that.
I'm sorry.
Any final words here before we close out the discussion?
Yeah, we are talking about some cultural change also. And GRI brings a language that people can
Hmm.
include in their way of talking and making relationships. And that's that new language and learning about it cannot might not just be applied inside the organization, but also can help the relationships outside the organization, which are critical for the organization because they're not alone; they are in the ecosystem, as I said
Mm,
before. So I think this is an important point
yeah.
that I would like to add to all
Yeah,
that
it
we
is an
talked about.
important. I totally agree and concur with with what you just said and the language and the fact we're working on behavior. There's so much discussion about the beliefs of people and the values, which is important. But so
Yeah, of course
working
it is.
on behavior the way we do
Purpose.
in a predictive and adaptive way brings some more concrete ways to act on people and act on the system and understand also how ourselves as leader are active on the system in a very practical way because behaviors are observable and they are manageable. And so instead of working with very abstract concepts, we take
All
it
right.
to very practical ways of addressing the adaptive
Right.
change of the organization.
Thank
Well,
you.
Andre, thank you so much for this discussion. there's obviously more to discuss and take from this adaptive leadership framework and how it combined with the GI. And always great to connect. Thanks,
Great to
thanks, André.
connect. Thank you very much for this opportunity.